Hey, so thanks for joining me on episode 2 of Artist Talk. I'm sure there'll be some teething problems and I'll be able to learn along the way. So if you do like the video, I'd really appreciate your support to give me a subscribe and a like and hit your bell notification because I'll be doing this every week. And hopefully we'll be able to provide a channel where we can have some inspiration and connection with other artists and craft makers who are all in the same industry trying to make a little bit of money from our art, and hopefully we'll be able to share some of our stories along the way. Hey, thanks for joining me on Artist Talks. This is episode 2, and today we're going to be joined by a pencil artist, photorealistic pencil artist, Zoe Kribble. She is a young artist, she's just starting out, and she does phenomenally good pencil drawings of people portraits in graphite pencil, and it's really interesting to hear her story of how she's starting out and what her take is on just getting into the artistic game and trying to make some money from her artwork. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, so we're here today with Zoe. So you're an artist. You're over in Portugal.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you sort of got started as being getting into art and getting into drawing?
Okay, so I've kind of always been interested in art. I've always wanted to draw characters. I used to be into stuff like video games when I was younger, and so I would draw the characters from those video games. And then eventually that progressed into, I eventually wanted to try and do art more seriously because I would sort of do these cartoons just copying and I would never really improve. Then I eventually got interested in starting more seriously. So I tried watercolor and I tried a few styles, and then I decided to go with realistic graphite. Um, so I specialize in portraits of people, and I've been doing it for 2 years now.
Yeah, I've seen some of your work is really good, and obviously we'll put the links to your Instagram and Facebook sites for people to have a look at because it's really sort of really quite good photorealistic stuff that you're doing there. So yeah, so what were your sort of initial sort of experiences like when you started? You said you sort of were doing you're into gaming and sort of perhaps more animation and stuff like that, and you decided on pencils. Why was that? You know, how did you decide on pencils?
So graphite specifically, I decided that because we that was the most that's kind of the most readily available material for realistic stuff. Uh, and colored pencil sets are ridiculously expensive. And as for realism, I went with realism because I've kind of I kind of grew up in a family that doesn't really value as much, so to speak, abstract art. We prefer stuff that's more realistic because we feel like it's more skill related. Yeah.
Personally, that's how I went into it as well. But you know, everybody's got different tastes in art. But yeah, I like that sort of that ethos is trying to get something to look as real as you can, but adding in that sort of that extra element of art. So I don't know about you, but if you, because some people will say, oh well, if you might as well take a photograph of it, but the photograph doesn't have that soul, that extra bit that you can sort of add in as a pencil artist. So yeah. So what would you think your biggest sort of challenges of starting into that sort of world was? Was it you know, was it the cost of materials, or do you think it was the fact that, um, you didn't know where to sort of go to sort of learn the basics, or what do you think that was?
So I didn't really have a big challenge when it came to materials or to learning. There's a few good tutorials on YouTube that I went to, and that they pretty much taught me the basics of what I needed to know. And materials, considering I just did graphite at first, they're pretty cheap. I had like a 12 euro pencil set for the longest time.
Yeah.
Um, my biggest challenge was probably trying to get proportions correct. 'Cause Yeah, I didn't know for a very long time what was the best approach. Initially, I tried to use the Loomis method, which is you probably already are familiar with it, but that didn't turn out very well. So I went with the grid method, but then the grid was too dark, so I went with a sort of tracing method. But then that was kind of like cheating, so I went back to the grid, and that's where I am now.
Right, yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's just one of those things where people can just you just find what works best for you. I've done all of them. I did the grid for quite a while. I actually have done the cheating method recently because I do a lot of animal commissions now, and so it's just about time really. So I don't trace, but I use a projector, but I think really it's just about getting the feel of what works for you, and what fits into sort of your model. So, like for me, it was a case of time. I needed to just get the basics done quickly. But I think with the grid method, you're probably able to get more of the proportions in more accurately from the start. So there's swings and roundabouts. But yeah, it's interesting to hear how people and what people use and where they've sort of gone and come back to. So, when do you think you sort of first got recognised for being able to do a decent drawing? When was this first sort of, who sort of recognised and went, "Oh, actually, that's really good." Was it family or friends, or was it, did you jump straight into doing a commission for somebody? How did you find that?
So I started by, well, after doing some practicing and just basic stuff, I started by making a portrait for a friend, and she was the first person to appreciate it. And my parents and my family, my siblings, I have four siblings, have been supporting me this whole time. They always say my art is good. They always help me improve the art that I'm doing at the moment. But yeah, probably the first time I was really praised was when I drew a portrait for a friend. It was a gift, and it was of my father's friend's daughter. So when he saw it, when my father's friend saw it, he was moved to tears, and I thought that was moving.
Yeah, that's you can't get better sort of reaction to that. I think that's what a lot of artists do is it sort of moves somebody or somebody sort of because we all expect our family to support us, but when somebody outside of the family recognizes that, you sort of feel that extra validation, and it's kind of nice to feel that, isn't it? It's yeah, it's great. So you sort of yeah, we've gone through sort of some of the background there because you've been doing it for about 2 years, you said. So you sort of at the start really of your journey, and you've done so well really because you're getting commissions. Are you making no, obviously this we're going to talk a little bit about money from your crafts because this is what a lot of us are trying to do, even if it's just to pay for materials. So are you doing okay with that? How do you find finding work for commissions? Is it sort of through word of mouth? Is it online? Is it do they come regularly?
Okay, so far I really haven't gotten that many commissions. I find it that's been very difficult to get any sort of attention.
Right.
I was giving gifts initially, which I don't think really helps. Those are the people who could have potentially commissioned me, but no.
Yeah.
Yeah, some from family friends. Two of them were from family friends, and one was from a lady who contacted me on Facebook after she saw a drawing I had made of a movie character.
That's the thing is that's a lot of how we all started out. I started out myself, and I've spoken to quite a few artists who do that, and it's very difficult because you're trying to put your work out there, but you're also trying to it's hard sometimes, do you find, to sort of put a price on the work or actually ask for money, because a lot of people will go, oh, that's great, that's lovely, can you do something for me, and then you sort of give them a price and then you don't hear back for them, and that can be quite frustrating. Do you think, can you feel yourself sort of transitioning into something else as well to sort of broaden that catchment of customers?
Yeah, I recently had an idea about this specifically, and I'd also like to learn to draw pets, potentially houses and cars as well, in a
Yeah.
realistic style, just to widen my portfolio and see if I can get more attention that way. On top of finding customers, it's also very difficult to find followers or even attention of any sort from social media. At least for me, it's been difficult.
Yeah, well, I think it's a struggle for us all at the moment. And do you think that that's got worse over the last, since you started doing it, from when you started 2 years ago to now? Do you think perhaps it's slightly oversaturated, in that we seem to see a lot of the big artists' work on Instagram, for example, being pushed, and they've got sort of 200, 300,000 followers, and then our work is harder to get in front of the right audience.
I don't know because honestly, I joined social media just a year ago, not 2 years, so I haven't been here for long. And yeah, it's true that a lot of the bigger artists that already have attention seem to get more results, but who knows how long they've been posting for, so I don't know. Yeah, so I'm just gonna keep going, even if it's not really successful.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, these are parts of the challenges that we face, and I suppose what I would say to somebody like you who's been doing it for a shorter amount of time. I've been doing it for about 10 years or so, and what I found is you've got to, like you're going to do now, you've got to diversify and look at other elements. And I think the key is to not give up, so that you can sometimes think, oh, what am I doing this for? Nobody's looking at it, or I'm not getting the commissions. But just keep putting the work out. And like you do, if you haven't got a commission, draw something as if it's a commission or as if it's something, and just put it out there and advertise it as if it's a commission. Because I find that, and I know a lot of artists I've spoken to, um, it's about being consistent and consistently putting the work out there, and that has helped me get consistent followers and more consistent sales. So I'll get recurrent sales, and that is something that you'll probably start to get. So if you do those commissions, those 2 or 3 commissions that you've done, you might find that through word of mouth, it might take 6 months, but at some point they'll talk to somebody or they'll want another picture done. And once you've got enough of them going out there, that word of mouth sort of gets around, and then you start getting commissions without having to do as much. One of the things I'm going to be talking about, and it sort of filters into challenges that we face really, is things like the AI and the rise of AI, and especially with digital art as well. How some artists are embracing it, and I'm trying to embrace AI. I don't think you can ignore it and pretend it'll go away, but I find that I'm trying to see it as a different way, that it makes our art, or art that's handmade, a little bit more, I suppose, unique, and therefore more expensive to buy, because it's got that uniqueness of being handmade. I mean, what do you think about the AI sort of come out? I mean, you're a younger person, so you're sort of growing up now with AI being sort of part of your sort of life from being young. So it was nice to sort of hear your take on it.
Yeah, so I'm not sure honestly what it's gonna do for us artists. I kind of agree with what you're saying about it. It makes it makes us a bit more valuable, but at the same time, it makes art more accessible to everybody and realistic art more accessible to everybody. And if we raise our prices, they're more and more likely to go to AI, which is freer. I have my father is developing a board game at the moment, and this board game needs a lot of art, and the costs of getting an artist is just so insane that he's kind of feels forced to go into to AI. So
Yeah, this is the thing, isn't it? It's one of those sort of things. Is finding. I think there's a lot of artists like myself, and I know about yourself, who are, we want to try and embrace the AI aspect of art, but we're finding it hard to see how it will fit in with what we do without overtaking what we do. I mean, I think perhaps pencil portraits are a little bit different at the moment. A lot of the AI art at the moment is sort of more video and sort of animation art, digital art type of thing, whereas it's not necessarily affecting sort of pencil artists at the moment, but obviously it can pretty much produce anything at the moment. I mean, I've seen some videos lately
film footage that's been created completely by AI. It's frightening, even, and I'm quite up with it, but even I was quite shocked. And so that's something we're going to have to just deal with, I think. But there's a lot of customer base who are, perhaps some of them are older, and they won't want to use that as a commissioned artist. So the businesses will want to use AI art because it'll be cheaper. Like your father, I mean, and there's absolutely, you don't blame them for that, because they're getting the same product for a fraction of the price and a fraction of the time.
Hmm.
But then there's older people who, for example, like pet portraits. There's people who just want, or there's somebody who wants a wedding picture drawn, and they're having it drawn because of the whole aspect of an artist is drawing that and spending time and love and energy and putting that into that piece. So there's aspects that we can sort of try and use that will help us, I think, in our little fight, I suppose, against AI. But we'll see how it goes over the next few years. It's sort of quite exciting at the same time to see where it goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's you sort of explained a lot so far about how your work has evolved. In that, you did touch on one point, you were interested in color pencils, but you didn't sort of go down that route because they are quite pricey. I mean, they're very expensive to buy just a basic set. But is that something that you would think about in the future using?
Yes, definitely. I think it would probably be the next logical step because now
Yeah,
I've gone from graphite to charcoal. So when
yeah,
I kind of get the black and white scene done, then color
yeah,
pencil,
yeah,
and then probably will be other stuff like watercolor pencil and things like that.
yeah,
But that all depends on the amount of money I get, how much time I still have before I need to worry actively about money.
yeah, yeah. It'd be nice for you to sort of get a nice little regular income from it before you had to get to that stage. Even if it wasn't a lot, you can then grow. There's a rise in art scams, and when I say art scams, I think, as you'll know, and a lot of artists listening will know, that it's trying to scam us, the artist, and it's normally the same type of thing. What have you found with that? What's your experience been with that?
So, yeah, there's always scammers pretty much. Most of the scammers I've found or that have contacted me have been on Facebook or ArtStation, which is a software that's more popular among 3D modelers and stuff like that. But my dad recommended it to me, and I think it's been okay. But yeah, I get contacted from by scammers there, and they usually say something like they either want NFT or they yeah NFTs, and they insist on PayPal, yeah, stuff like that. Initially, I didn't know how to recognize a scammer, but my dad quickly taught me. But yeah, they're incessant. There's always more of them.
I don't know if you find this, but every time you put a new post out, so you put a picture out of your work, within seconds, sometimes you've got three or four, and the messages, they come through, and I don't even open them now, but you sort of get to know them, don't you? And you just sort of, um, straight away, it's NFTs. I want to buy all your art.
Yeah.
I've noticed they're changing things, the wording slightly lately, where they'll say things like, I don't want to buy it through NFT in the actual message. And it's like, well, clearly you're still trying to scam me, so I'm going to ignore it. But yeah, it seems to be to the point where I find it almost comical. But there's always that aspect of somebody new who doesn't have, perhaps, somebody like your father who could show you, and somebody who perhaps is more naive, who they have lost money from it. Well, that's really great, and it's really nice to hear from all different types of artists, and especially people like yourself who are young and just starting out, and you've got the support from your lovely family, and it's sort of, it's a nice way to get into it. I wanted to just quickly touch. You mentioned your studio is in your, I think it's in your house. It's on a desk, which is where a lot of studios are. Certainly, where a lot of studios start. Are you sort of organised with all of that? How does that sort of fit in with your sort of family life? Does it get a bit hard to work around that?
It does sometimes. Sometimes it gets difficult to focus. I usually like to put on music in the background to sort of dull the sounds around me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's great. And one day you'll have your own studio, and it'll be amazing. And then you'll be looking for people because you'll get lonely, and you'll suddenly think, I haven't spoken to a person for like 8 hours, and I need to see somebody, because that's what I find since I moved out here. But yeah, and so how do you find sort of you? So obviously in your studio, you're looking at your lighting and stuff, and that's sort of are those issues that you find are things like you're buying extra little bits when you can, that you can use a little lamp here and a different camera or something like that.
Definitely, definitely. I'm trying not to make purchases that frequently because I don't have infinite money. But when I can, I grab this or that other thing. Recently, I did buy myself a lamp, a new set of charcoal just to try, but really the bare minimum.
Yeah, well, that's it. You add to your stuff all the time. I mean, I've got stuff here that's now I've had for years, and I mean, I even use this is my leaning stick, and I just make stuff now because it's still just cheaper. But as you sort of get your sort of studio and build your materials up, you just sort of start collecting extra things. And your lamp that you've just bought now one day will be in the corner, and you'll have an even better lamp and a better studio. I'm sure of it.
I guess I'll start with the materials I had at first. So I started with just this kit here, of pencils.
That's exactly the same one that I started with. So yeah, I've probably got my old tin somewhere.
Yeah, it was cheap and it had two different types of pencils, needed eraser, everything that
Yeah.
I mainly use. Oh, now it's full of my other supplies, but yeah, I mainly use these ones. Oh, that's unreadable. The
Yeah, I
pit
know. I know.
ones. Yeah, yeah, and I also I use obviously I use a pencil sharpener. I use a bunch of different types of erasers. I have an electric eraser. Uh, Probably you know them as rubbers because you're in the UK, but yeah, and yeah, then just a standard eraser for borders. It's really dirty now, but yeah, needed eraser that totally doesn't stretch anymore. I'm also using just the pencil sharpener. The pencil sharpener that comes from the faber castell set. This one here is dull now, but it's great. For a bit, I tried sharpening my pencils with this knife here, this craft knife that I bought specifically for this reason, and also a bit of sandpaper that I've got here. But I found when I started using charcoal, I found that this actually ends up breaking the charcoal pencils. So I just prefer to stay safe and use the sharpener. Yeah, so for charcoal, I just have these little stumps from Faber Castell again. I've got a tin that I don't have right here, but that I usually shave the charcoal powder off of these, and I apply them with a brush, which I'm going to show in a moment. Yeah, I'll just show also my paper because often people buy really expensive papers. This one's kind of all right. It's like 20 euros, 40 sheets. So it's a pretty good deal. It's able to really show, but yeah, it's smooth, but it's not too smooth. Like it's still pretty thick.
Yeah. So have you got any work that you're doing at the moment? Is there anything current that you're doing?
Yeah, I can show that. It's really in a primitive stage. I'll start by showing one of my more typical portraits. This one I did with graphite only. Yeah, this is a drawing of a movie character. You probably are familiar with them. Oh, and that's just with graphite, so no charcoal yet. My one drawing that I've done with charcoal so far is at the moment hanging because I sprayed it with fixative. Yeah, okay, and here's the drawing I'm doing so far. So I'm gonna be making these sort of photo cards, as I said, these sort of K-pop photo cards. Here's just the sketch of the first one up here, and here's my reference, just to get an idea of how it's gonna look like at the end. Yeah, it took me several hours to edit the reference and all the grids and all the photos and everything.
That's all part of the game of what we do. So, yeah, right. Well, it's been really nice to sort of meet you and get to know some of your work and how you've got to be where you are. And it'll be really interesting to see where you go with the future with all of this as well. So it's been really nice to meet you. We look forward to seeing you and how you're going to get on in the future with your work. And we hope to see you again.
I just want to say thanks for having me, because I just messaged you from a random text pretty much, and you're like, okay. So that was
That's
cool.
all right. Yeah.
And I hope that this podcast is successful, and it'll be cool to talk again in a while. I hope you get commissions and things go well for you. And thank you.
Okay, so I hope you found that interesting. It was great to hear from a young artist, and you will be able to find all the links to her social media sites in the description below and on this screen too. So I really appreciate you joining us today, and I hope this channel grows. If you're interested, if you're a craft maker or an artist and interested in being involved in this podcast, please get in touch. Otherwise, if you did like the video, please like the video, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to make sure you keep up to date with our weekly episodes.